Okay. So here we go. Page 27, right? Make sure you write this down, okay? Page 27. So we have, I will put at the very top, page 27, yeah. I will put multi-step question, right? So this is a classic multi-step scenario. On page 25, I believe, question 8 was one of those as well. So let's go ahead and solve this multi-step question. So here we go. We have our sine law scenario, right? 1.25. Let's make a note here. Have a pair, therefore sine law. Therefore sine law. So I have to start with it. Let's put a letter to it. If there are no letters, you go ahead and put a letter to it. So sine of angle A over 3.7, because remember this is a pair. That's meters. Meters, guys. If there's sine on one side, there should be a sign on the other. Okay? That should be a sign that you're doing things right. Got it? Sine of A is therefore, I think now I would just like you to focus on the notation to make sure you don't get marks deducted for not writing it properly. That's what you should focus on right now. Let's get this as a decimal here. That would be, I had it all ready to go here. That's 0.513, and that keeps going, right? And so the next step would be angle A is sine inverse. You need to find an angle, so you must use the inverse. Okay? So that gives you 30.93 degrees. Important, but not answering the question just yet. Okay? So that would be one step. And then we're going to find angle, what should we call this, B? I think it just, I'm going to call that one angle B here at this corner. So angle B is 180 minus 10 minus 30.93, which in turn gives me 139.07. Okay, important. And now that I have that angle, right, this belongs right here. It's across the side that I'm interested in. Okay, so this angle right here, which is 139, it's obtuse, which makes sense, will give us that wire right there. So you just start, you can use cosine, you can use cosine law or sine law in this case. I'm going to stick with sine law here. And this would be sine of 139.07 over, let's call it x. I'm going to go back to my diagram here and call it x. So 1.25 times sine of 139.07 divided by sine of 10. Okay. X is equal to 4.72, which you already knew. I gave you that answer right off the bat, right? But there you go. That is the ultimate answer. Get used to this type. Okay, it won't always be just a one sine law, one cosine law, and I get there. Most of them are, but some of them will not. Okay, so you got to be ready for that. Okay, on to the new part. We're good to go. Page 28. There it is. Okay, perfect. So what's new today? We're gonna find the height of oblique triangles. Height of oblique triangles that we're gonna focus on. The height of a triangle is always measured perpendicular to the ground. I don't know if you remember that term. When things are perpendicular, what does that mean? What's the angle between perpendicular lines? 90 degrees. You've heard of it before though, right? It's a little rusty. Okay. 90 degrees. Okay. Two streets usually are perpendicular to each other if they meet, right? In other words, if you were to use a measuring tape to measure the highest point, right, you would make sure the tape creates a 90-degree angle or a right angle with the ground. So height may be inside or outside the triangle. And I used a dashed line because it's usually an imaginary line. It's not necessarily a side that we're solving for. Okay, but here, let's just highlight, in this case, it would be inside the triangle. Okay. In this case, the triangle in question is right here. The dashed line, which would measure the height, how high this one is above the ground to the tallest point, it would be outside. And in this case, this is a right triangle, so the side is also the height. So inside, outside, the side is equal to the height. It's a right triangle. And notice that every time the height makes, right, if you can put a little h there, the height makes a 90 with the ground. Every scenario. So keep that in mind as we go along. A little note before we begin, sine of 90 degrees is always going to be equal to 1. It's going to come up in a bit, so just reminding you already. Let's read this problem. So Kat and Steve are hiking in a park, and they follow a creek. They are 20 meters apart. Okay, so that's important, right? Is that already in the diagram? Yes, it is. It's down here. Okay, it's already given, so no worries there. Once they're on one side of the creek and they spot a pika, which is a small mammal, on the opposite side of the creek. So they're 20 meters apart on the same side of the creek, and they both look over and they notice the small mammal right here. So that's where the triangle is created. I want you to at first not worry about the dashed line, which is our height. I want you to focus on the big triangle, okay? That's what you're going to do every single time when there's a height question. Remember that? Will you remember that? Okay, so you take a highlighter, and I'm going to go along the outside, like this big triangle here. And you're going to highlight that. And I will say, focus on the big triangle first. You're going to focus on that first. The way this question is worded, it will ask you to solve for this side as well as this side, the two slanted sides. It will do that. So in a sense, I'm getting you ready to find the height. Okay. So let's just focus here. What does it ask us to do first? How far is Kat from the pika, right? So how far is this distance from here to here? Let's call that x. That's going to be x there. And I think it's important to make a small little diagram right here. and transfer over some of the information. We're going to use it for both of these questions, so put them right in between. We know that this is 20 meters here. We're going to call this K, we're going to call this P, and this is going to be S. We know that this is 17 degrees right here, and we know that this is 36. I think so far you should be able to follow, right? It's a little small, but I'm just copying, and I'm not putting the dashed line in there, okay? It's just a big triangle here. It says, so we're going to call this X. That's what we're solving for. What are we going to use to solve this? Sine law or cosine law? Sine law, because we have a pair. It's hidden, but it's there. If you have two angles, you really have the third one, right? So let's do that first. You get a mark. Usually the province gives you a mark for just finding that third angle. So it's probably a good idea to just find that. And we get 127. Okay, and I'm going to write that in here in a different color so that I can tell myself, okay, you found that. And so this angle here corresponds to the side across from it, and that is a pair. Pair, therefore sine law. Therefore sine law. So let's go ahead and do that. Take this, sine of 127 over 20 meters. Keep on snapping my, I need like a 1.4 or something lead, not just 0.7. And so what am I going to use to figure this side? I want X, so what should I pick? 17 or 36? 36, that's right. Because this angle, that's just how sine law works. Opposite. So this angle, sine of 36, is what you're going to use to solve side X. That's what you're trying to find. Okay. I'm going to zoom into that for a bit. I know that I asked them for a bigger screen for years, but apparently there's no money. Okay, so 20 times sine of 36. Maybe I should go on strike. Sine of 127. So we compute that, and I think I'm going to spare you. Or should I? I'll do it. Why not? Slow me down. 20 times divided by sine of 127. Maybe that gives you an opportunity to compute this as well. So you get 14.72. Okay. 14.72 meters. I don't have a lot of space, that's why I'm doing it this way. And so this is actually answering the question. That's how far cat is from the PCAT. Okay, so now the same question. I'm just wondering if I should do it this way. I'll do B. I'll go in order. Let's do this one here. How far is Steve from the Pika, right? So Steve to there. I'm going to call that side Y. You can always feel free to add letters, okay? Add letters if there aren't any. You could have gone lowercase k if you wanted to. That's fine. So I'm going to use the exact same pairing that I had. Could you use cosine law? You could, because now you have this side. So side angle side allows you to solve for that. Sure. I'm going to go sine of 17 degrees over y. So cross multiply. Sine of 127 And so give me 1 second. That's 7.32 meters. So there you have it. You have both distances of both individuals to the Pika. Bingo. Let's go over here and just call this y as well. So you have both of these now. You technically know all sides and all angles at this point. This is the new part coming up, okay? How wide is the creek? So they're asking for W. It's not side, right? It's W, asking for W. This is the height, right? Split, I will say this, split triangle along the height. And then I'll say choose one side to find height. And it's going to get a little cramped here, but we're going to make it work. So if we split the triangle up here along the height, I know you can't see it, but here, if we split it right there, let's go ahead and do that. Remember, there's a 90 formed, so there's actually 90 on either side, because it's a straight line down here, right? So let's make a sketch. I'm going to zoom into that side there. This is W. So what do I know? I know the 90. I know this is W. I know this is 17. I know this is 14.72. Is there anything else I know about that triangle? Can I bring the 20 down from the original? I can't, right? Because I cut it, right? So the 20 doesn't belong here, but this is all I need. And you're like, Mr. Dixon, didn't you say you needed 3 things? Side, I have that, I have 17, and I have the 90. So technically this triangle is now solvable. Okay. So there's your pair. Right? The power of the 90-degree angle, that's your pair. We're going to use sine law. So sine of 90, which is this one, over 1472 is equal to 17, right? Sine of 17 is going to allow me to find W. And next thing you know, you solve this thing. So 1472 sine of 17. One thing with trig questions is you think you know how to do everything until you actually start, and you're like, wait a minute, where do I even start, right? So you need to make sure you practice these. You don't just watch me do it, right? Don't just watch the video before a test or whatever, and that's all you call studying, right? You're going to be in trouble that way. It's 4.30 meters or 4.3. I just want to show you something here. Right? If you were to go 4.72 times sine of 17 hit equals, right? You get 4.30 there. If you go divide it by sine of 90, watch. I'm going to hit equals. Nothing happens. Why is that? because sine of 90 is 1. So if you divide anything by 1, it is just itself. All right, so the sine of 90 is kind of symbolic there. If you remember that it is 1, you can omit that step. Okay, so that's where I got my 4.30 from. Okay, I need you to see that it's the same on either side. So we're going to do this whole thing one more time. I think it's important. So let's say we choose the right side of the triangle. That's also 90 there. This is still W. This is 7.32. That's from my previous, right? I solved for that slanted side. And the angle here is 36. I can, guys, I can right now, with these two, I can find the third angle up here where my pencil is, but it's right now I don't really need it, so I'm just gonna leave it, because this angle would allow you to answer, you know, how long this side is, but we're not interested in that. Okay? We're interested in the height, or the width in this case, of the river, which is the height of the triangle. So there's your pair. You do not have to do it both ways, like you don't have to do it twice, okay? On a test or quiz or AC, just once. So let's just put this to the test. Sine of 90 over 7.32, and then sine of 36 over W. W is 7.32 times sine of 36. Oh, I'm off the, sorry. Just yell if I am off the charts here in a bad way. So this times this divided by sine of 90. What do you think it should be? It better be 430, right? It better be. It is. Right? I tried it before. So 7.32 times sine of 36 divided by sine of 90, which is not really necessary, but it's still 4.30. Isn't that cool? Yeah, you're gonna do it. You're gonna tell your friends. You're gonna make a TikTok video about it. You name it. Right? And if you later watch this video on your own time, right? Hit the bell, like, and subscribe to my channel, so that one day I can just retire early. That is very cheesy. Don't do that. I've gotten some thumbs ups, and I appreciate that. Okay, so now that I've done this, this is the new part. This is the, I would like to, what highlighter should I use? I'm going to use green. I just want to make sure you understand this is the new part, right? That is what we found. Let's transfer that. It comes with me down here. That is what I found, right? So how did we come up with this? You know what you need to do this? You need the slanted side, right? You need the slanted side before you cut up. So some students, they see this like, oh yeah, I'm just going to cut it up. And then they're like stuck, right? They can't do anything. So first, what did I say here? Focus on the big triangle first. Solve for either one of the slanted sides. Then you cut it up and you proceed as I showed you here. Okay, so this is the new part. I want you to practice that right away. So I'm going to ask you to go to page 29. So I want you to do 29 and 30. 30 is a bit of a brain buster. 30 is going to make your brain hurt a little bit, but that's okay. Okay. So try 29 first. Even if you think you're stuck, remember you know more than what you think. Think outside the box, right? How can I approach this? And then try page 30 as well. Okay. And my goal is to correct it if time allows. But make sure you do this. Don't be on your phone. Your phone cannot help you on the test, right? Ready? You're supposed to get that there. Some of you, if you use cosine law, you get slightly different answers. Because did anybody realize that this is a side? Technically, they give you too much information. So you could have used cosine law, which gives you 4823, I think, or something like that. It's okay. Nothing wrong with that. And then for B, this angle that you found is going to come right in here. And remember, if it's the height that we're talking about, you feel free to insert the 90-degree symbol there, which gives you a pair. So for this, the height is 3.53 centimeters. Write that down. Even if you didn't get to it today, you can always come back and fix it. Some of you get 3.51, right? I don't know what happened there, but I get 3.53 on both sides. So be careful. Before we go, we're going to do painful question 30. Okay. Pain in the butt, right? But it's all right. This one is probably on the more difficult spectrum, like lots of things going on. Have some highlighters for this one. Look at mine. I'll just show you what it looks like. Look at that. Looks pretty crazy, doesn't it? Just if you want to, that's how I'm going to proceed. So we're showing this toy boat, and particularly the sails. There's our triangle, angle B 72. He knows that side AD must be 9. I wish I would have taken those out and asked you to fill that in, but it is what it is. And the base must be 7.8. Watch this. This is the ultimate question here. At what angle must he cut angle DAC? Where is that to begin with? Where's angle DAC right here? DAC. It's this one right here. For now, I'm not going to highlight it just yet. Okay. I know you're excited and you want to just leave. I know that, guys. But can I just say something here? Focus on the big triangle. A lot of us want to zoom in right away, zoom out. Right? So what can I do? I have a pair. Think of it that way. So it's sine of 72 degrees over 9. Write this down just for review purposes even, right? And the 7.8, this side right here, will help me find this angle up here, this one, right? It will help me find that one because it's the whole length of the base. So these two sides form that angle. So 7.8 centimeters, and this is sine. I'm just going to call that sine A. So let's go to town there. Sine A is cross multiplied divided by 9. So angle A will be sine inverse. You have to use sine inverse because you're trying to solve for that angle. .824. Here we go. I really appreciate when you do the work, when you're stuck and you've done the work, I can clearly tell where you need help. Right? Sometimes it's a calculator issue, sometimes it's you just wrote down the wrong side. It's all of that combined, right? So inverse, that gives you 55.51. And here's where highlighting starts. Okay, highlighting starts. I'll soon be seeing the highlight of my day, which is my wife. Can't wait. There you go. there's green, right? So that's the angle you just found. Next, what can I do next? I can find this angle here because now I have 1, 2, 3, right? So angle D is 180 minus 72 minus 55.51. Okay. So angle D, which is this one here. So I'm still looking at the big triangle. That gives me 52.49. I have a highlighter for that as well. That's this one. And now I zoom in. Yeah. Are you getting the same numbers? Okay, let me finish this and then I'll come and see you. Now zoom in. Zoom in. Okay, I'm going to zoom into just that one there. This is 90. This is 52.49. Okay, they're asking me for this one. Orange, you're glad it's the end of the day, right? There. That's the one they're asking me for. This is angle DAC. So angle DAC, which is that orange one, I'm going to highlight that in a bit, is 180 minus 90 minus 52.49. And so you get for DAC, I got to get this right, 37.51. And that's orange. Which is, if I go way up to the original, it's just this sliver right here. Not going to be quite as colorful as my key, but that orange, the top here, is what you found here. And so that's zooming in. Before it was all zooming out. Okay. I'm going to give you the answer to the height. The height is 7.14 centimeters, if you want to try that. Because of time, I'm just going to leave it there. You essentially use this one to find the height. Thank you, guys.